It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, December 15th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is just in awe of the Flyers in the shootout this season. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's become their thing.
Love to see it. We're going to talk about that shootout win versus the Caps. We're going to preview the game against the Red Wings, and we're going to check in with Team USA World Juniors Camp, all on today's show.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at rmiriam. I'm here with Russ Cohen, who's on all your favorite social media apps at Sportsology. We are at Locked On Flyers on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. You can find us for free over on YouTube or on the SiriusXM app or anywhere you listen to podcasts. You'll get our latest episode as soon as it's available here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, heading into this one, we had a last-minute change of goaltender with Sam Ersson checking in as Carter Hart was sick again. So Felix Sandstrom got the emergency call-up. And as part of that, I guess with roster numbers, they officially sent Belpedio down to the Phantoms, which I think they were going to do anyway.
I'm sure that he was happy about that. Yeah, he was in the ether, really.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing him play for the Phantoms this weekend. But in the meantime, Sam Ersson got his third shootout win of the season. Again, just a pretty remarkable stat for the Flyers. We've just been used to this shootout like doldrums for years, it feels like, and it feels pretty good to actually win them.
Sure, I think Sean Couturier is like the catalyst of that right now. He's pretty deadly.
Yep.
So I think he's leading the charge.
Yeah, I think so too. And another guy leading the charge on that front was Bobby Brink, who had quite a shootout move. It was actually kind of funny, but it got the job done. And aside from that, he also scored a goal in regulation in this game. And he had some really good board battles in this game as well. I just thought all around he's gaining confidence more and more, which is a good thing.
Yeah, there's no question he's gaining confidence. If he wasn't, I don't think he'd be in the lineup. So that part's going good. There's certainly another level he can get to, but he's just not there yet.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm looking forward to seeing that level because I think he has it in him. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I just, like I said, these things, they take time.
Yeah. Another guy I want to call out is Morgan Frost because I think, he's quietly or not so quietly, I guess, having, really strong games himself. His move to set up the shot from Mark Stahl that was then put away by Bobby Brink was a really excellent play. Another really smart play that led to the Owen Tippett goal toward the end of the game. And just all in all, just showing that he belongs in this lineup every single day. And I just cannot imagine any reason to take him out at this point.
We can't. I mean, I felt like he should be in the lineup all along for all these reasons. He does make smart plays. He does make a lot of little plays. He has the vision to make these great passes. I mean, look, that Tippett shot was a little bit of a prayer, but it was a hell of a setup just to get it, even make it possible. So,
yeah,
I mean, you're right. I mean, again, if he has a turnover, I don't know, does Frost end up sitting now and the points don't matter? Like, that's where my head goes to, but it shouldn't.
No, I think like he has absolutely earned that lineup spot at this point. I think another thing that this game showed once again is the resiliency of this team and the fact that they just don't give up. And I love that about them. And I love watching them just try absolutely everything in the book to try and get back into it. I would say that, for a good portion of the game, they weren't coming into the zone in the best of positions to set up quality plays like on the rush, which is what we had said they sort of needed to do, was get those quality
Yeah.
plays on the rush because they were going to have a harder time getting the dirty goals. And but even when they did run into those issues that we talked about, they kept at it, and they kept, whacking away at those rebounds. And it eventually paid off. I think Joel Farabee's goal just was an incredible power move net front. And so I
Hmm.
really think that, this was a game where the Flyers just worked hard for a good portion of this game. Now, there's little bits we can talk about that they need to improve on that front, but I really think as a general rule, this game was just one of those hard working games.
No, it was, and there's definitely things to work on that I saw. But uh, the one thing I'll say though is I think they're wearing Scott Lawton out. They got to be careful. Like
Yeah.
he's not the biggest guy. He's playing all these hard minutes and situations, and he's playing too much.
Yeah, I think they're starting to pay a little bit more of attention to that on that front. And at some point in the game, they switched it out. So Poehling got moved up, and Lawton moved down to the fourth line. And honestly, I
Yeah.
think that was the right move to make. And Poehling had a particularly good game, I thought,
Hmm.
and so it was a smart move for him, and to move him up. He got those extra minutes that
Yeah.
Scott Lawton usually gets, and he got an assist out of it too. And so I think,
He did.
when he gets those chances, you can see he just plays a slightly different kind of game than when he does when he's on the fourth line with people who, like, God, just watching Delorier try and like do this weirdo backhand shot. Like, I was just like, what are we doing here? So, um, I just don't think that fourth line is gonna score. I really don't, but it's okay if the top 3 lines are taking care of it, and, they did to a large degree in this game.
Yeah. A couple other observations. I don't think the Capitals liked Hathaway very much because they
No,
went out of
they
their way to
do
get him.
not. They do not, that is for sure. I don't think Nick Aube-Kubel likes the Flyers anymore either, so
No, no, I
I
think
think
that's
we
fair too.
yeah, I think that pretty much evened out, as far as, any grudges that anybody might have.
Before you talk about the overtime, I was going to say that Wilson goal again. That's
Yeah.
emblematic of York not being able to win a board battle on the forecheck. Guy goes in, wins the forecheck, gets the puck, they get the score. If you're going to be on the top pairing, you've got to win those battles, and he doesn't win them enough.
Yeah, I think that one was tough. It was a power play goal, so I'm gonna, put a little asterisk
It
next to
still
it.
was a
Not a big
one-on-one
one.
battle.
Ah,
It's still a
I know.
one-on-one battle at that point.
I know. It's just so, like, it is disappointing to give up a power play goal to the Washington Capitals, who are terrible at the power play. But
And the
I
power
think
play
that,
and the Flyers power play. I mean, come on.
yeah, no,
I
the Flyers
watching
power play
something.
again needs, there, like I said, there are some needs improvement. The power play is one of them, and I thought the overtime was also one of them, where they, at least for the first minute and a half, were just really struggling to get possession and do anything meaningful with it. And then, man, Cam Atkinson is starting to be in desperation mode. He could have put the game away in overtime, had the puck on his stick and a clear shot, and just couldn't get it done. I'm starting to feel real bad for him at this point.
Yeah. Something worth mentioning, when the Blues made their coaching change, they also brought on Brad Richards, former Tampa Bay Lightning star, to be a video coach for their power play. So now he gets the power play mailed to him, emailed to him every day, and then he talks to Steve Ott there, who's in charge of the power play, and they come up and devise a strategy. That sounds like a good idea, Rachel. I would I would wonder if the Flyers would think of that.
Well, I don't know who they would get to do that at this point, but,
Well,
Even if it's
Brad
Eric
Richards played for
Lindros,
John
I'll take
Tortorella.
it.
No, but Brad Richards played for John Tortorella. That's why I'm also saying it.
That's true. That's true. That is also true. But, Flyers did win this one in the end, and I will take it. It started off real slow, but it was definitely a fun one as the game, progressed, and, we'll see how this translates to the next game against Detroit. We're gonna talk about that one coming up next. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. They've got killer deals on last minute tickets. And with their price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting excited for all the fun you'll have. My favorite part of the Game Time app is that it's great for getting notified about those flash deals. Plus, you get the all important view from your seat. My last Game Time purchase were for some theater tickets. We got like third row center. That was absolutely incredible. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and depending on it, it could be up to an hour into the event. It's the place to find your last minute seat. Also, the tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with the code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Next week on the show, of course, on Monday, we'll have our nemesis of the week. We'll have a mailbag, and we're going to talk about all of next week's games, which is a little bit of deja vu. The Flyers are playing the Devils, the Preds, and the Red Wings. So, all teams that we've seen recently. So, that should be a lot of fun, a little escalation of tension there. In the meantime, the Flyers' next game is against those very Red Wings. And they have been in the news quite a bit as of late for several reasons. The first of which was it was the decision of Patrick Kane to sign there, and a little bit of I would say, overblown signing, one might say. So far in
Mhm.
6 games, I believe he's played, a goal and an assist, and he is a -6. So, not a great start for Patrick Kane.
No, and a 1-4 record. I mean, again, it's similar to what happened with the Rangers. Things will level out a little bit, but you don't know how long it's going to take if he ever does get it back. Like that's the reality. And you do the one thing about Patrick Kane is, and all the shows get highlighted if they want. He's got great tricks to get in the offensive zone and everything else, but you still have to change your complete
Yeah.
power play when he comes in. There's a lot of things that have to change when he comes in. And look, he doesn't play defense. He just doesn't. So if
Nope.
he's going to give up goals, he's got to score goals.
Indeed. And, they are running into some problems in terms of who might score those goals for them, simply because of, the play. We talked about it last week where Dylan Larkin was knocked out, and he is on the IR as a result of that hit. JT Comfer and Clem Costin are also on IR for Detroit. And then as a result of that whole kerfuffle with Dylan Larkin, David Perron, who retaliated for the hit, got a 6-game suspension. So he will not be there for this first matchup against the Red Wings. I think he'll be eligible to be back in for the second game next week, but
Yeah.
we will not see him on Saturday. So that's 2 members of your offense who are unavailable as a result of this play.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch. It's going to be a tough stretch for sure. And you just kind of, this is one where you wonder what's going to happen with the Red Wings. Are they going to band together and just play a good game because they're down guys? Yeah, that could happen. And maybe this is one that Kane starts to play better. It could happen. It does depend on who they play in net too. Their goaltending situation is not great. Now, if Alex Lyon plays against the Flyers, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I gotta wonder what they do there because Husso played in the game against the Canes. That was at the same time as the Flyers playing the Caps. The Canes won that game 2-1. You would have to think Husso would play again on Saturday, but
I don't know about that.
Alex
I don't
Lyon
know.
is there, right?
He is. Husso's like not been in favor there. I get what you're saying about the win, but I do think there's a puncher's chance Lyon plays.
Yeah, I just think, it could go either way when you are playing against a goalie that, was formerly in your organization. Although there's been a lot of changes to the Flyers organization since Lyon was around. So don't know that it would be an advantage or disadvantage either way, I gotta say. But I think it certainly would be interesting if Alex Lyon wound up starting that game. I think the other thing with Detroit is that they seem to be like coach killers this season. They
Yeah,
won against the Blues, which was Berube's last game. But prior to that, Detroit had lost to the Stars, the Sens, and the Sharks. So they've been a little bit cooled off from that really hot start they had this season.
yeah, I agree. And so again, I wasn't sold on the Red Wings this year. People got mad at me. Um, I'm still not sold on them. I'm just
Yeah.
not. But it doesn't mean they don't have a decent team. Their defense is good. You still got to worry about Sider. There's guys you have to worry about. They do have some scary offensive players still. It's just it may not be all working out right this moment, but they do have talent.
Yeah, they do. Of course, Shane Gostisbehere is part of that Red Wings defense, and he's been playing, I would say, pretty well overall, but playing very Shane Gostisbehere hockey. We know exactly who he
Yes.
is and what he does and what he
Oh yeah.
doesn't do, and that's what he's been continuing to do in Detroit this season because of all the guys being out. That line with DeBrincat and Veleno and Patrick Kane is now their top line. And
Right.
so things have gotten moved around. And the game versus the Canes, they did an 11-7 with Ole Mata as kind of the extra defenseman there. But, it's kind of unclear as to what they'll do for this game against the Flyers. They could go 11-7 again. Would not be surprising if they did that because that seems to be how they're
I don't know.
managing
I,
this.
I saw Larkin on the ice, so I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he does get back. I don't, it's possible. But I still would worry about Lucas Raymond. I still would worry about Fabry. He's kind of like
Yeah.
sneaks in the creasy areas and can get some goals. But if Larkin's back, like if that's the game back for Larkin, it would be a big boost for them. Then it would be a little bit of
Yeah.
a worry.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen there either. But it's a really interesting matchup statistically as well because Detroit just, as a general rule, scores a ton more than the Flyers do, and they have an exceptionally
Right.
better shooting percentage overall. In fact, at 5-on-5, Detroit is the best in the NHL at shooting percentage on unblocked shots, according to Money Puck, and I believe that that's just something that they've been doing, but you kinda
That's a huge
dig
stat.
underneath it. Yeah, but, like, you dig underneath it and you're like, "Why don't you necessarily believe in this team?" Well, the Flyers get much better high danger chance percentage. The Flyers have a better scoring chance percentage. The teams have a similar goals for percentage. Both teams are below 50% at the faceoff dot. So there's, like, a lot of similarities there or in ways that the Flyers just
Yeah.
are much better statistically than Detroit, and so you can see why they might fall off if what's holding them up is an unsustainable shooting percentage.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So I don't know how it's gonna turn out again. I think the Larkin factor is gonna be pretty huge, but I think like the key to winning this game for the Flyers, stopping them on the rush. I think their defense just has to hold up because of the offensive
Yeah.
threat that they do have. Detroit is the score on the rush kind of team. And so I think
Yeah.
that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and they got some good scoring talent. Like I said, Raymond's a hell of a player, but we'll see. I mean, the Flyers defense is going to get tested. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think, the PK is gonna have to hold it together, and the power play is gonna have to try and generate something because I think they will get they will get some opportunities in this game, no doubt, given
Even
how,
5-on-3 ones.
physical. Yeah, like, Detroit's a pretty physical team, and so I think, like, penalties will occur in this game. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the Flyers really, hopefully can, step it up on the power play side of things. In the meantime, Russ, you are on the road at Team USA World Junior Selection Camp, and,
Mhm.
cannot wait to hear all about that and what the Flyers prospects in World Juniors are looking like overall. We will do that coming up next.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I want to take a little credit here. The Raiders are currently up as we're taping here, 49-7. So if you did take the Raiders, you're welcome. On this week, though, I'm going to say take the Giants over the Saints. So I'm going to just say Giants are hot lately. Go for that one. What the hell? So visit fanduel.com/lockedon and get into the action this NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league like Locked On NHL. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube to subscribe. Russ, so you are at Team USA selection camp for World Juniors. Before we get to that, we do have an update from Team Canada on their roster. And of the Flyers prospects, only Oliver Bonk made the team. Denver Barkey was in the final cuts to that roster. So that's kind of a shame for him, but we knew he was kind of borderline to begin with.
We did, but he had a great camp. And I spoke to someone at USA camp that was at Canada's camp. And Canada's like holding a spot. They're kind of hoping that Fantilli or Benson or one of those guys will come last minute. But I got news for you. If they don't, I could see Barkey still making it because he was good in camp. They said great things about him, and yet they cut him. So you never know. Things could happen. So I'd still say there's a minute chance he can come back.
That is good to know. And then Team Slovakia, Alex Siernik is on that roster. So we'll have
We figured that.
another, so we have another Flyers prospect there. Team USA is yet to be finalized, but Cutter Gauthier has been at camp. How is he doing so far?
Hey, he's doing good. I did speak to him after the game. Well, they had 5-on-5 stuff, but he looks good in camp. He was playing at center. The thing is, what complicated camp for him, I think, is Rucker McGroarty was wearing the do not touch jersey
Mm,
because he had gotten hurt on a big hit in the college season, but is expecting to kind of play. And so he's taking part in stuff. He can't just do it like he normally would. And I think Gauthier might be on a line with McGroarty. And McGroarty, I do think if he does get to play, he'll end up being captain. That's my guess.
mm,
So I think there's a chance those two could play together. But Cutter was looking good. His shot looked good. The only thing is there's a little bit of a strength factor with him in the corners. There were some guys that were out muscling him a little bit. And so that does make me think, let's see what happens at the end of the college season, how he looks before, we all start talking about him playing in the NHL, because that's going to be something like right now, Tyson Forster is stronger than Cutter Gauthier. And
right.
those are both guys with great shots. But as we know, to get that great shot, sometimes you're going to have to win some battles. So that was the only negative I saw from him. Everything else looked good. The skating, the attitude's always great. I did ask him if he's had a chance to watch the Flyers, but he said he's been busy. He just knows they're doing well and he's happy about it. And that's fine. I think partially he doesn't want to really talk too much about the Flyers because he's in season with them. And I get that. But I was
Right.
curious, what he might say. But he, he's going to make the team for sure. I think he's going to be on the second line. I think the BC line is going to be first. Smith, Leonard, Perron.
Right.
That. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the top line. I revisited with those guys because I remember Smith telling me, well, we don't know if that's going to be the line at BC. So then I catch up with Smith and I'm like, you said you didn't know if that was going to be the line, and somehow you ended up being the line. He said, he looked at me and laughed and he goes, it took one practice or one game. I can't remember. It was either one practice or one game. They're playing together. Next thing you know, they're back together. So I think that was always going to happen, but I get why they said you never know, because you can't count on everything when it hasn't happened yet. Hockey players are very good at kanai nahara. If you want to look that up in Yiddish, it's not counting your chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah. And like sometimes college coaches want to do different things,
Yes.
than the national team. So it's not an unusual thing for a college coach to try something different. But obviously, those guys have great chemistry, and looking forward to them being split up in the NHL someday. But
yeah, they will be split up for sure. The other interesting thing is, though, David Carl, Matt Carl's brother,
mhm.
who is a former Flyer, is the coach, and he's really making sure these guys are playing defense first. So this will be a good tournament for Gauthier, because he's not that he doesn't do it in college because he has to at BC, but in this he's really going to have to, and he's going to have to do it on Olympic ice. It's a
Right.
larger surface in Sweden, so they're playing where Frölunda plays. So it's going to be on the larger sheet. So this defense will be a little bit more than he's done in the last few years. I'm sure he's done it in his life, because I know I did talk to him about it, but it's not been recently.
Yeah, that'll be good experience for him. Absolutely. And
Yes.
very necessary experience, especially potentially coming into a Tortorella system. So that's good to see. So what's the timetable here for the rest of the week?
So there's another practice on Friday. Then Saturday is the final practice morning. It'll end at like 1. The media probably will be there till like 2 or 3 to see if there's a word on who gets cut. But David Carl said it could run into the evening. I'm not going to be able to be there for the live call of that because I got to drive back on Saturday. So, and a few others I think are going to miss it. So we're going to look on Twitter for the few that are there and see what the final word is. But I don't think Flyers fans have anything to worry about.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing him on Team USA. Will be good to have Flyers prospect on those 3 teams in the tournament. Always good to have extra reason to tune in. Although I would anyway, because honestly, it's.
But I can tell you that there was a glowing. Just going back to Canada, Bonk played really well, so people were very impressed with him.
That is also very good to hear. Yeah, I hope he has a good showing as well, but not so good a showing that maybe Team USA can't win.
Yeah,
But,
that's where it gets a little dicey,
Yep, that's divided loyalties indeed. Wrapping up the week with a quick fun thing, at least fun for me. You can, have your own decisions out there. I was very excited to hear that the Jonas Brothers are going to be playing in the concert prior to the Flyers Devils in the outdoor game at MetLife in February. It's an extra reason to look forward to it. I like that they skewed a little younger with the musical act that they invited to come, and the Jonas Brothers are famously from New Jersey, so I think it fits quite well.
Yeah, I saw the commercial. The commercial was cute. I think they did it for TV because I think they know that for, I would say, 75%, maybe a little less, people in that stadium, they're looking for something more like Bon Jovi. But on TV, for people at home, then that's where I think the younger audience could come in, and at least if they're not watching much of the game or they're not paying attention, might tune in for that. So I think there's
Yep.
a potential bonus there for them for that.
Could be. All right, that will do it for today's show and for the week. We'll be back, of course, on Monday. We'll have our next nemesis of the week and that deja vu I talked about with the Preds, Caps, and Detroit. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. So send in those mailbag questions via Twitter at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail or comment over on YouTube. I'm Rachel. I'm on the app formerly known as Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great weekend.